When you see a Tory on a news programme, you know that they're there to dodge some difficult matter, evade telling the truth, and divert our attention away from a situation the government has created that, if we learnt the true facts, would probably boil our blood. Michael Gove is perfect at this. Jacob Rees Mogg? Not so good. Jacob, like Michael Gove, sets my teeth on edge. An oily, despicable character that a pretty sound person could tell from a mile away he's evading, obfuscating, and generally gaslighting us in any statement he makes. This particular clip highlights his slimy persona perfectly as Mogg deals with questions about Sunak's government and how Sunak is dealing with the multiple accusations of bullying by Dominic Raab.
What sort of problems is the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, building for himself? So we see allegations against Dominic Raab, more than a dozen civil servants complaining that he is a bully. That's being investigated. Gavin Williamson being sacked. All adding to an air of sleaze around this government.
Well, I mean, a Labour MP had to stand down from his seat, and there was a by-election because he had behaved in an unsuitable manner within his office, if I remember the details correctly, and that was only last year.
So, deflection. No clear details about the Labour MP, but bring it into the mix to make it seem like all politicians are the same. Though there are countless Tories under investigation, ultimately he hasn't dealt with the question.
If you take a parliament of 650 people, there will inevitably be some people who don't behave as well as they should. And that is always an issue for all Prime Ministers and all leaders of parties.
But if Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister, is standing on a platform of integrity, professionalism and accountability, then he should be held accountable to them. Side note, these are qualities that all politicians should be held to anyway. But carry on.
Talking about maybe a couple of dozen people around the cabinet.
Yeah, well, I think we've got to be slightly careful about the bullying allegations. Got to wait and see. You did indeed, quite rightly. Yep. But also, we mustn't be too snowflakey about it.
Wow, did he just say that? 24 allegations of bullying against Dominic Raab. This is what's called enabling. He's excusing bad behaviour by turning it round and making out it's the victims or those with empathy for the victims that are overreacting. Classic gaslighting.
But people need to be able to say this job has not been done well enough and needs to be done better. Good public services
and being a snowflake.
It's a very.
Now here's when you and I know and can see him struggling for a counter-argument. We know it's an excuse, a misdirection, but we're not in a position to call him a liar or a to his face.
Difficult line to judge. It is not a straightforward issue in most cases. It is, how did somebody react? What did somebody say? Is it reasonable to demand from senior and well-paid professionals a level of good service? And then you have to judge whether that line has been overstepped. But I do worry that we are getting a bit snowflakey about this.
There are 24 allegations. If there were 24 allegations of misconduct against somebody who worked at an adventure playground, I don't think that people would be snowflakey to demand that that person be removed until an investigation had been completed. Click here for some more disgusting Tories.